And then you talked about Connie Briscoe, who also wrote a book about Prince George's County.
She was
She
going
called it
in the
PG
book.
County.
Yeah.
So she was in the book. And I find it so amazing that, you know, you have her in the book. She wrote your little piece on the back of your book.
Yeah.
And then you came in here with a book that I happen to be in that she wrote, which I'm so impressed by, Stepping Out. So
I was so over, like, I was so over the moon about that. Like, you don't understand. I saw you post one day and I'm like, Connie, wait a minute. Cause I love Connie Briscoe for her story, but also it did so much to me to see my county and then my actual city. That's the first and I believe only other person who's ever mentioned Seat Pleasant, like my hometown, in a book. So I was like, you wrote this for me. And so she has a special place in my heart. I felt like I couldn't, because I had mentioned her name 100 times to my publisher while I was pitching this, I was like, I have to get her blessing. I don't care. I'm like in her DMs, emailing, like, I'm like, Connie Briscoe, I love you. And like hoping that she'll be like, okay. But I wanted her to say, so
it's good.
yeah, I'm giving you my blessing. You did good with this, because it meant so much to me. But then when this book comes out and I'm like, my cousin's in that book, it's like, okay, Connie Briscoe, I love you even more now. Like
it's such a connection. Huh?
Yeah.
I thank you for purchasing that and seeing me in that. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. I want you to sign it. I want Connie Briscoe to sign it, because I just that's special to me.
Thank you. This is special to me too. I think that all of this goes with my theme. That Sheriness theme is about Sheriness Blooms.
Yeah.
And so one thing I would like to talk about is late blooming.
Okay.
Like I felt like when I heard you speak at a book signing that I was at, you talked about how you kind of wrestled with becoming a writer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so then you went back to school later on so that you can really do this the right way. So talk about that.
Well, before Caribou, writers were just a picture. They were just a picture on the back of a book. Like I didn't even think of them as living, breathing humans that are walking around on the street. I'd never met an author, especially a Black author. I mean, before Caribou Bookstore, I mean, for a very long time, that wasn't being presented to me in school. I would go to the library and they weren't the books that were front facing. And so becoming an author, even though I liked to write when I was younger, becoming an author that didn't seem like something that was feasible. I mean, it didn't feel real to me.
It didn't feel like a real job, as people will say, when you're doing that and you're doing your passion instead of a government job.
Yeah. And I mean, I went with something else that I loved, but felt safer to me, which was teaching. Like I loved children and I knew I wanted to work with them in some capacity. And so I did choose a safe option. And, it wasn't until like maybe 2017 that I was in my mid 30s and I wanted to write, but I still didn't have the confidence. So I started pulling in friends that had like went to school for writing or like could illustrate. I was like, let's all make this book together. But like I don't know if they were in that space at that time to create. And now knowing what I know about creating, especially with literature, is a lot of times it's a solo, like it's a solo endeavor that you have to sit with for so long and like just like really dig deep into yourself to produce. And so I don't know if that would have worked out anyway, but it just, they really weren't in a space because this was like one of my passion projects. I wanted to write a book, but I wanted their help. And so it ended up not happening, but what it did was it sort of pushed me forward to try to write. But I didn't know the first thing. Like I read books and I knew what I liked when I read, but I didn't know how to start a book.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
page 1, what do you do? And so
Right.
I literally did like the most amateur writing thing. I'm like, hi, I'm Haley. I'm 14. I'm like telling the reader, you know, here's my biography, but really I'm supposed to be telling a story. And so I ended up, because I didn't know how to turn my thoughts and ideas into a body of work. And I was going to workshops, but like it was giving me like 45 minutes, like a little bite size, this is what you should do. But I wanted to immerse myself and like really learn. And I remember feeling like silly about going back to school. I was like, okay, like my degrees are in education. Like I went to college. Who am I to like go back to school now? But my children were older. They didn't need me as much. They were actually kind of doing their own thing. And I had the time. I had the time to do it. And my mom was like, why not?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just someone saying, why not?
Right.
That it makes you think differently. And that sort of gave me the confidence to say, okay, I will. And so it was one of the best decisions that I ever made for my career, because it not only I had, you know, different advisors per semester, like hand holding me and looking at my work for the first time and helping me evolve it, but also I was learning the community of writers and how much you need each other to get through the really difficult parts of publishing. So I was learning how to be in community while I was learning how to write at the same time. It was a great 2 years.
Yeah.
I want to go back, but I'm not doing it. I was like, I need another 2 years now. But
oh, that's incredible.
It was a motivator, definitely.
Yeah.
And most of the people in the program, because it was a low residency program, which means we weren't in Vermont for 2 years. We were just in Vermont for 10 days, and then we would go home for 3 months. And we would interact with our advisor over email. Like we would write, give them our work, they would give us feedback. And it worked very much like how publishing works now. Like I write, give my work to my editor, she makes her notes, gives it back. And so they were mimicking that. And there were not a lot of young people in the program.
Oh, nice.
Because this was for the student who is not, you know, they're not fresh out of high school and ready to go away and stay on campus for a year.
Okay.
We all had jobs and things like that. So it was perfect.
So that's great, because it feels sort of like as a late bloomer, I've had quite a few fellowships and artisan residencies. And so that to me, I felt like I was a late bloomer, because when I was in college, you know, then I just came out and got like, you know, I got a job, which was a great job at U.S. News and World Report in the publishing industry. And I started at the bottom as a copy clerk and moved my way up. I actually showed my portfolio to the art department, and they were like, oh, you should be working here. And I, you know, then I moved up, and then I go over to BET.
You worked in the art department of a publishing house?
Yes. So, yes, so both like at U.S. News and World Report and at BET for the 2 magazines, Emerge and Young Sisters and Brothers. So, yeah, I also did some work for the Crisis magazine. And, you know, I was doing all this, and it was great. And then the industry started to tank. And as the industry started to tank, I was also a graphic designer. So I didn't come in as a graphic designer. I came in as a production person. So I would, you know, I would be the one as the liaison between the designer, the writer, and the printer, and making sure everything's printed, paginated, page, everything. And I also started to do more of my graphic design. So by the time I got to where my career probably would have been like, oh yeah, now she's making lots of money, and now she's got all the retirement, it tanked completely. And you know, everything went to cell phones, and it just was very depressing.
It has had a rippling effect, because
it's a rippling effect,
with media shrinking, and you know, not as many freelancers, and just like the way that it's going, like even when we go to like promote like Pretty Girl County or other books, there's not a lot of those like traditional, yeah, traditional
in-person stuff,
mhm,
and yeah.
so it's definitely harder to make your voice heard in an industry that already may not be like front facing you as much. So
Yes,
um
it's
so
different.
yeah, I did not know that. Okay, we need to like
Yeah,
have
I
tea
did.
and I need
Yeah,
to
to
like
have tea. Like
yes,
this is what we
I
have
know.
here. Yeah, so that's a lot. So I think
Yeah.
that um, while I was working, I also volunteered at museums, right?
Okay.
So particularly the Anacostia Museum in Southeast Washington D.C., and
Yeah.
that's where I actually one of my art teachers, one of my professors was in a show there,
Hmm.
and I remember her. She was so great, and she suggested to the museum because I was a docent, you know.
Okay.
So she suggested that I do a workshop that went with the particular exhibit that was there. It was dolls, watercolors, and quilts. I think she was a
Yeah.
watercolorist, but she also hung things from it that was beautiful. She has beautiful work,
Yeah.
and I so admired her. And she often said to me, she didn't want me to ever become a frustrated artist, which I
Yeah.
actually became.
I think
But
we
she
all
was like,
go there.
um,
Yeah.
she suggested that I teach a doll making workshop there because I made dolls at the time,
Yeah.
and I did. And so, and these people at the Anacostia Museum were like a black college. They were so supportive and helped me with all. They just sent me places to do the workshop, everything.
Yeah.
They were great. And so, but as I was making the dolls with people, little
Mhm.
kids, I saw the whole issue of colorism,
Mhm.
self-esteem, everything in that, and making the dolls and helping it look like them really helped. They really started to see themselves
Yeah.
after they saw the doll, which was abstract. It's just a stuffed doll, you know.
Mhm.
I saw them giggle and just come alive.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I can do this. So because I started doing it before the whole thing tanked with publishing,
Yeah.
it was what I looked to when I started not to be able to find freelance
Mhm.
or any work at all. And though it didn't pay like
Mhm.